The top of Old Smoky. The top of Old Smoky. That's going to be the first part, isn't it?
Definitely.
No, he didn't have the camera going.
Yeah, but he just hit record on that. So it's just going to be a black screen. Ooh, the new intro. That would be, it's just like the normal, like it's zooming out. Hit it again.
You only get one. Hopefully, if you missed it, rewind the episode.
People are going to be real confused.
I'm just going to add you singing over the top of the music that's playing for the intro.
Can we do that actual song, like building up like the instrumental and then me with the vocals coming in?
I like it candid like that, where it's just random.
I'll just add it at a different spot of the song every week.
I like
No one knows when it's going to go.
Okay, so that's going to make multiple episodes, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's the new intro.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's the last time I
ever go out on a limb. I ever be vulnerable around you guys.
You'd think I would have learned my lesson on the Andrew Aguero episode where I told you about how I listen to podcasts.
I was actually thinking about that. I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, and I was like, oh, I bet Kevin would have wanted to say something right there.
So it got brought up last time with Sean, the podcast and Joe Rogan, very briefly. I tried to chime in, but Sean just kept going, so I was like, I'll let it happen. But I tried to bring it up last episode.
Nice.
I'll bring it up this episode.
I think we just did.
Yep. I guess that's what I was saying. Anyway.
We've gotten multiple complaints that we did not make fun of Will in the last episode.
We did miss it, didn't we?
We did.
By multiple, is it Will complaining multiple times or multiple people complaining?
One person, not Will, AJ, complained a couple times. I don't want to say complain, but he was like, were you guys mad at Will? You didn't make fun of him. And I was like, that's a hilarious thing, like way to think of that.
Hilarious assumption.
Like we were mad at him, so we didn't roast him.
Something's wrong.
Yeah. I was like, oh, no, we'll make fun of him for sure. We'll get it back. Oh, hey.
You look okay in this picture.
Perfect.
Yep.
That is my ceiling. I'm going to post. Yeah, this will be good. I'm going to give everybody what my view is whenever we do these. I don't look at you.
Your view, just like everything you do a little video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just gonna strap my phone to my forehead and just record the whole podcast.
That's the video content we should put on these podcasts now. Is just GoPros on our head looking at each other.
Hey, Ryan, where you at on this?
We can do it, but we just got to buy GoPros.
Yeah, Ryan's in to get some GoPros.
Yeah, this is what Ryan's like. Whatever the cost.
How do you spell unsuccessful?
I don't know. Unsuck.
Yeah, you're asking the wrong people.
Entrepreneur. There we are. Okay. On the story. I think people really like it when I just sit here and talk about me making a post on my story.
Oh, yeah. That's what we get the most compliments about.
What have you been up to? How's life?
Good. We, Laurel and I are moving on Friday. So the day after this gets posted. So that'll be fun. I was telling you earlier that I have just decided to hire movers. I'm not a moving guy. You're just saying it's a lot cheaper than you thought. Yeah, I think you can spend a lot if you want. I don't know. Maybe these guys I hired are going to break all my stuff or something. They're just going to steal it. Whatever.
It's the company you hired was B- Movers, right?
Yeah, right. And they got a lot of good reviews.
That's good.
But no, really not that bad. Pretty reasonable. I think we don't have a ton of stuff. I should preface with that. We got rid of a lot of things. We're buying some new stuff. So I think I got quoted at $300 to move my stuff,
which is not too much more than just renting a U-Haul yourself, which you'd have to do either way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's no way I could do this without a U-Haul, and so yeah, it would definitely It would definitely cost the U-Haul itself would probably be half that. Because U-Haul always kind of gets you. Like they tell you like, oh, it'll be this. And it's like quoting at like $65. And then it's like $1.08 per mile. And then it's like gas and I don't know. It just always adds up. And you're like, how was this $120? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
But whatever. I don't have to worry about that.
We were just talking about that, how it's so weird, like human nature, that like this standard in the industry, like when you're like purchasing something is like, what's the initial price? Like when I'm buying something online, it's like, what's the initial price? And that's what I'm basing the decision off of.
Right.
But then you have to tack on shipping, tax, miscellaneous fees, and it ends up being double what it was listed. So
it's so annoying.
Yeah, but I think it's so funny. That's just the standard that people are like okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but so my week has mostly consisted of packing things. And selling a lot of things on Facebook Marketplace. I don't know if you've sold anything on Facebook Marketplace, but it's a hellish place.
Fun place to be?
No. A lot of scams. A lot of scams on there. A lot of like even I imagine people selling stuff being a scam, but you don't necessarily think about when you are selling stuff, people scamming you when they're trying to buy it. So what they do is it's obviously people who aren't even here. You kind of figure it out because they have created their Facebook like 7 minutes ago. But they'll message you and they'll tell you, hey, I'm interested. I want it. I'll pick it up today. But they're like, can we text? And so then they ask you for your phone number, right? Which I thought was kind of like odd. Like, why can't we just talk on here, right? So first red flag.
Yeah.
One, I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, I was young and naive and I had no idea. So I was like, yeah, here's my phone number. And then they were like, okay, but I don't know that you are a real person. So I use this service that will send you a text with a 6-digit code on it. And then you tell me the 6-digit code, which are obviously just like signing me up for something like my phone number or whatever. They're trying to steal my identity and verify it through the phone, through the 6-digit thing that I give them. And I'm like, oh, no. And so then I, would try to mess with them and like try to egg them on and send them like wrong codes or like I would send them like, oh man, sorry, I actually ate that dresser. So like it's in my tummy. Can't sell it to you anymore.
If you still want it.
And I'm like, this is a scam. I'm like, how is this possibly a scam? And I'm like, there's so many reasons why this is obviously a scam.
Dude, that's my Instagram got hacked that way because it was you didn't fall for it. I fell for it.
Not me.
A friend from college shot me a message on Instagram about starting a new t-shirt company.
Shout out Andrew Jang.
Andrew Jang,
who is a person who would start a t-shirt company.
It wasn't.
It's not out of the realm of possibilities.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't really that ridiculous. And wanted me to follow their page and keep up with updates, but they needed me. Gosh, what was it? They had to they texted me. He was like, hey, yeah, I'm going to text you a code. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting because they didn't ask for my phone number, but was able to text me a code. I guess you somehow have access through Instagram, but not directly or something like that. Right, hey, just respond with the code. And I was being really slow because I was trying to slow play everything. And I was kind of skeptical in the first place, but I was like, whatever. If they clearly it looks like Andrew Jang has my number.
Right.
So how else would he be texting me? So I sent him the code. I was too slow the first couple of times, but they kept asking and finally sent it quick enough. And lo and behold, Instagram, no, looks like you've been logged out. Damn it.
Oh, yeah. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Because you put a lot of effort in I mean, not that you can tell, but you put a lot of effort in your Instagram.
Yeah, I've been working on it for some years. So that was pretty frustrating.
Seems like a work in progress.
Yeah. Thanks. But I was not having that. I was time is of the essence. Mm-hmm. I'm getting back. Mm-hmm. And Instagram had a nice, it had a verify, a handful of different things. I don't even remember how I got to it because I was doing so much so quickly. Yeah. But essentially I finally got to a point where it's hey, my account's been stolen and I'm reporting it. I'm okay, we will I had to do a facial recognition like you do
Whoa.
like on your phone,
Yeah.
like not just a picture, but like a full facial recognition. And they compared that to the photos on the page or on my page.
Right.
And they were like, okay, we'll get back to you within 1 to 3 business days. I'm like he's going to go delete, like this person's going to
Right.
go delete all my pictures by then.
Right.
But within like 10 minutes, they were like, yep, you have access again.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that was big. Like
Yeah.
I almost lost my whole account.
Dang.
So if someone is trying to text you or send you a code and have them send and then have you send them that code,
Yeah.
don't do it.
Don't
I don't know how
do
that
it.
works, but
Don't do it.
don't do it.
But yeah, it's been interesting. I met some interesting folk along the way in selling some things. I sold I had a dresser that it was a nice dresser, like it was in good shape. That I bought for, I don't know, like $400. I guess a few years ago, but there's nothing like wrong with it. And I was pricing the move. I was getting rid of stuff. So I had it listed for $50. And I was like,
Not bad.
a nice dresser, like no real issues with it. Nice dresser. And these people were like, the classic, please hold it for me. Like, this is all I've ever wanted in my whole life. I've promised this to my sick grandson. Or, I don't know. And they were like, please, I can't get there till 6 o'clock because my husband's working and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Like, I'll hold it for you. Cool. We'll do that. They drive up. Keep in mind, $400 dresser for sale for $50. $50.
Mm-hmm.
They show up, this lady and her husband, and they look at it and they're kind of walking around in circles. And I'm like,
Jeez.
oh, here we go.
Yeah.
They look at it and they're like, you see how the corner of this drawer is like slightly discolored? Seems like it rubbed a little.
Mm.
Why didn't you post that? Why didn't you put that on the post?
Get out of here. It's a $50 dresser.
Thank you. And I was
Jeez.
like, well, first, I didn't notice it because it's literally like the size of not even a pencil. And it's not even a chip. Like it's just a little rub where you could like use a stain pen and like fix it immediately.
Right.
Like 30 seconds. And I was like, well, I honestly never noticed that little half of a corner like had rubbed a little bit. Okay. And she's like, well, I just feel like you're being dishonest. And I was like, I'm gonna be. This is a $50 dresser.
Yeah.
Like $50. Like this was a $400 dresser.
It's now 75.
Yeah, right. And she's like looking at it, and I'm like, and she's like, I don't know. I'm like, you do realize like a $50 dresser is like what you find on the side of the road, right? Like,
Mhm.
and I'm like, look, I have a lot of people who want this. Like, if you don't want it, like, whatever.
Right.
But like, I did hold it for you. So like, if you want it, let's do it.
Right.
And she was like, no, it's not worth that. And I'm like, if you want a brand new dresser, I recommend Mathis Brothers because that's going to be the only place that you're going to find a perfect
Right.
dresser. But it's going to be $1,000 and not $50.
Right.
So thank you for wasting my time. And they drove from like Newcastle.
Jeez.
Yeah, crazy.
They didn't pay $50 for the dresser?
Nope, they left.
Wow.
I don't think they.
I feel like that was just
I don't
a
think
ploy.
they liked my comment.
I give them respect for sticking to their guns.
Yeah.
I was frustrated.
They were definitely. I feel like they were definitely like they would have paid like that's they would have paid $50 for it. They were just trying to barter with you. They were trying to get the price down just because why not? Everyone freaking does that.
I don't know, man. She seemed like she seemed frustrated at me about the situation.
You are a pretty dishonest person.
I tell you what. That's a dude. You'll see stuff like that. Like I had a guy show up who like he was buying a leaf blower and like a weed whacker from me, and I posted for like $75 for the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
And he came by and he like told me he was interested and that he wanted it and whatever. And then he $75 and he's like, yep, that's cool. And I was like, okay, cool. Like if you're on your way, like, I'll make sure nobody buys it in the meantime. And he showed up and he's like, I only brought $60. And I was like, well then you got Venmo? Because $75, man.
Dude.
Yeah. Like
you did that on purpose too. To like
1000%.
put you on the spot of like take it or leave it kind of
and I'm
situation.
like, okay, see you later. I would rather burn this. I would smash this faster than I would let you win in this. Like, just so you know, I give no shits about these things. Like I'm selling them to just get rid of them. They're taking up space. I will break them before I will do this. And so he handed me $60 and Venmoed me $15. And I was like, all right, see you later. Get
Appreciate
out of
it.
here.
Thanks for doing business.
Yeah, wild,
Jeez.
dude. Like people are. I think you've had some people who are like super nice and it's been super easy, but it's like only about $60. Okay, you got Venmo?
Right. Well, find 15 more. Or
Yeah, like
get out.
that's not enough money. Well,
Weird.
I'll say I was up in Tulsa a few weekends ago and bought a bike off a guy,
Oh.
and super like normal transaction, right? Nothing weird. 15 seconds after I leave, I'm in the car. Hey, can you rate me real quick?
Jeez.
So like people I think make like actual livings on
Yeah.
Facebook
Yeah.
Marketplace, which had no clue until he said that.
I get what you can. Like I've probably sold in the last like week or two, like week and a half. I've probably sold like 10 items, maybe like 10 or maybe more. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've sold quite, and I've been pretty aggressively priced to
Yeah.
to get rid of things. But it's like these are, like whatever, and it's you just kind of realize that man, a lot of times people are interested. Like if you've got halfway decent stuff, people will buy it from you.
yeah.
So it's like, well, it's kind of weird because you're almost like, what's this worth? $15? But then you're like, well, if I got 3 things worth $15, like it starts to add up. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, so that's been an interesting time.
Fun. You guys are moving into a pretty cool place though, huh?
Yeah, super excited.
Yeah.
Super excited. We're moving downtown, so we're moving into Montgomery. So it'll be cool. We're excited to kind of have a little bit more access to just like activities or walking places, going to eat, stuff like that. Super excited. It should be pretty cool.
Yeah, I've told you before, but that's something that I've always thought would be cool to live downtown in a city like Oklahoma City.
Mhm.
That's a little bigger, got some tall buildings around. We lived downtown Springfield, Missouri for a little
Mhm.
bit, and
Those are good. And I loved living downtown.
I did too, man. It was
Loved it.
obviously a little smaller, not really any skyscrapers in
Yeah.
Springfield, but
plenty of places to eat and
Yeah.
things to do. And
restaurant bar scene was really solid.
Yeah.
The living was really cool because it was all just redone old buildings that were made
Mhm.
into lofts
Yeah.
that were when we stayed in one that had only been there for a year, and we
Yeah.
knew the previous we
Yeah.
were fraternity brothers with the previous tenants. So
And we took
Those-
great care of that place in college.
anytime we played hockey in there, we were very, very gentle with the wood floors.
Yeah, we had to make sure the hardwoods, like we went like a full week without doing full on slap shots
Yeah, we
of that whole year that we were there.
yeah, we started out with just wristers.
Yeah, we had
So-
like a cardboard like on the ground. We started
Yeah.
with that. And
Yeah.
honestly, though, kudos to those floors because they held up great.
Yeah, we eased into it. We didn't
Yeah.
just go full blast right off.
No.
We made sure they could
we
withstand.
We weren't jerks playing hockey in their brand new lofts that they just built.
Yeah, that, and we had a total of I think 7 full size couches in that
Dude.
apartment.
And when I say hockey, I'm talking like we had full on goalie pads. Like we were playing hockey.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a lot of
Great
fun.
time.
We had the goal set in between 2 of those couches, so you could sit on the couches and watch everybody play hockey.
Dude, great time.
Yeah.
Remember when we played soccer in there that one time and I dislocated Marshall's toe by like blocking his shot and he was playing barefoot and it's just like his toe is still all wonky. It's still like crosses over.
I remember seeing a picture of that, but I don't think I was there at that time that happened.
Yeah, his toe, his like second toe like folded over his big toe and he
Yeah.
never went to the doctor. So it's still like that.
Jeez. What a Marshall move.
Total Marshall move.
Well, it looks like my toe's like this forever now.
Yeah, Marshall was like, oh, he's like, and now it's like his thing. It's like his gimmick. Hey, look at my toe.
Part of his personality.
Yeah.
He reaches out every once in a while
I
and
love
kind of
me some Marshall.
wishes us luck, and he kind of says he's keeping up with things. So
Yeah, I love him to death. He's a good guy.
yeah, he is a good guy. Miss
miss
Marshall.
him.
Yeah, hopefully he's listening, Marshall.
He would be one to be listening, though.
Yeah,
You know what I
Think
mean?
so?
Yeah, like he'd be making fun of us, but like he'd be one to listen for sure. I wonder who all listens. Everybody who listens to this episode, send Kevin a text.
That's a good way to gauge. I
His
guess.
phone number is 314. Just kidding. I can't give out his phone number. He gets mad.
Appreciate that. I get.
Once you become a local celebrity, you can't give out your phone number.
I never said that.
Yeah, your face did. Can't get about you. Kevin, you've changed, you know?
Yeah, I know.
You've changed.
I feel like I have become. It's more so. It's less that I've become a local celebrity, and more that I've just become a hermit. Like, I end up dealing with, or working with. Obviously, I'm a lot more active on social media than I used to be. I had an Instagram that I had not logged into. I had one post that was made by Trey Cooper when I was in college, and I hadn't been logged into my account for I think 3 years. And I finally logged in after about a year or so of business, maybe 2 years, and started kind of being more active.
Yeah.
So I am not naturally a social media person. It was something that I did put effort into. I do enjoy it. It's kind of cool to, make a cool post and see how it does and just kind of get reactions from people. But it can be quite a bit of work and it can take up quite a bit of time. Obviously, Ryan knows pretty well. It looks like he's probably on Instagram right now with his phone sideways. Looks like he's either that or a racing game.
No, playing Clash of Clans.
Laurel would probably love to clan together or whatever you do on there.
I don't know.
No, I just hop on here, collect my golden elixir, and then hop off.
That's all you do?
That's all I've done for like the past 3 years.
What? But man, that dopamine dump you get from it's good though.
From those golden elixirs, huh?
Yeah, just build up everything and don't
Ever
clan
use it.
anywhere, don't clash or anything.
Wow.
Really,
I used to be really big into it, and then
Sounds
I just
like-
can't get myself to delete the game,
Yeah.
and it passes time by. So
Yeah.
question. Do you have any other sources of passive income like that?
8-ball pool.
Yeah. Who's your elixir guy? Because I'm trying to get in on that. But yeah, so I've decided at the ripe young age of 31, going to be 32 on Sunday. So everybody who has gifts, bring them, wherever.
I'm sure they've already been bought and sent.
I'm sure
At this point.
they
It'd be
could have
late.
been, honestly.
By this time, it's probably late.
Oof.
Yeah.
I how embarrassing for them if they haven't.
Yeah.
But I have decided, that I'm hiring movers. I'm doing it.
I feel like,
Well, and I'm
At
just paying
point-
for it with the stuff that I sold. So
Yeah,
like
there
it's
you
not
go.
like if you could have told me like, hey Thomas, here's $300 worth of crap you're going to throw away. Would you donate to that to us if we moved all of your things to your new place? And it'd be like, absolutely.
Yeah.
I would. You can have all of it.
they should, business idea,
Oh, here we go.
moving company, you can steal 20% of my stuff,
Ooh.
but move it all for free.
Mm. Do you have like a steel pile or can they just go for anything?
Yeah, see, you'd have to set some rules.
Yeah.
Like, you'd probably have to be like, you can steal $200 worth of stuff.
Yeah.
But obviously, that's debatable. Yeah, maybe a steel pile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's my steel pile. I'm in.
Yeah.
This is the takesies pile. And anything in there, it's free reign.
And everything else is
Dude,
in
I
the
got
non-takesies
crap I
pile.
would put in a takesies pile.
All the stuff you sold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are we going to call it? Movies and takesies?
Yep.
I like it.
That's it.
It sounds like a game you play in kindergarten.
Yeah. That does remind me, for those that haven't seen, we did find out that Alyssa and I are having a baby girl
Ooh.
Real quick, how did that remind you of that?
because we've been putting off names of like everybody keeps asking us,
Mhm.
have you guys thought any names yet? It's like, well, we don't know the gender, so like,
Now they're ready to commit to the name Takesies. Takesies will hide.
yep, Takesies Marie Wilhite.
Ooh, it's pretty.
But everybody's been asking us, have you thought of names? It's like, well, because we don't know the gender yet. I don't want to come up with two names. Like it seems like a lot of effort because you're picking this person's name for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Potentially, unless they change it, hate the name we give them.
Right.
Hopefully not. But I really thought it was going to be like this really like thing that we had to think about a lot. And I haven't talked to her much about it yet, but Alyssa came up with two names. And she told me, I think over the weekend, and I was like, one of those I really like, and I think I'd be okay with just sticking with that. I'm not going to say what it is, just in case Alyssa's ends up not being down for it. But I'm done. I'm cool. I'm cool with that.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
That's Dude, it's weird because obviously we don't have kids and we aren't pregnant or anything, but it's funny because people have been asking me questions about the wedding for Laurel and I tell them everything I think I know, and then I go, but let's preface that I might be totally wrong like, on all of that. So like take everything I just said with a grain of salt. I have like these are things that I recall hearing. So that seems, I feel confident that I've heard this.
Dude, your job is done. You engaged. That's what I was told because I started kind of getting into, I'm sorry, Ryan, you have a point?
I was just going to piggyback off what he said and saying, like, anytime anyone asks me that question of like, how's wedding planning going? It's like, well, Ellie's doing a great job.
Yeah. We're really proud of her.
I leave it at that. And because I could try to tell you what's going on and give you the bits and pieces I've been passed on, but that could change, and I could have also heard wrong or forgot.
You're just being updated along the way, and like you get small ones, and it's hard to remember everything. No, that's what I learned. This is what my mom told me when I was planning to propose to Alyssa. We were I was working with her and planning all that out. Big thing was I gave her my grandmother's ring, which was big for Alyssa. She loves sentimental like stuff that doesn't cost a lot, honestly, which is down with that myself. But I started. I like just briefly brought up like, hey, do I need to be like prepared for like planning? Like, when should we start that? Like, do I need to have anything kind of like set or like an idea? My mom's like, whoa.
Yeah. Pipe down over there.
She's like,
you'll speak when spoken to.
She's like, your job is to do as best as you can at proposing. Once she says yes, your job's done.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, I am down for that.
Well, it's been really funny because I keep getting like her friends. I got invited to girls' night the other night. I was pretty excited. So I met up with Laurel and all her friends, and like they kept asking me like, Thomas, what are your non-negotiables for the wedding? And I was like, Laurel has to be there. Aside from that, I'm pretty much fine. And I don't want to do like I had to explain further where it's like, I know that's the classic, like, oh, I'm a guy. But here's the thing. And that's what I tried to explain to them. I said, I have not been planning this since I was 6 years old. Right. And so like, it feels unfair to me to have like this massive opinion on changing how Laurel would want to do the thing she's been planning her whole life.
Right.
Like if I feel so strongly about something, yeah, sure, I'll say something. But like for the vast majority of it, it's like if she is happy, I will be happy. I really don't have like I don't have anything off the top of my, besides her being there. Like I really don't have like anything that I've never even thought of this. Like it's just not the thing to think of. And so it's like, again, it's not out of me not caring. It's more out of like allowing her to have this be however she wants it to be. Like it's for her. But I do get a bone to pick with the whole situation here because we keep getting told that people like, oh, we got you guys an engagement gift. And I'm like, oh, that is so thoughtful. And then we open the gift and it is definitely for Laurel. She already got a gift. It's a dang ring. Okay. You're buying engagement gifts and it's for her, always for her. They're like, I got you an engagement gift. I'm like, oh, let's see. And it open it up and it's a thing to hold Laurel's ring. Why don't you just call it a bride to be gift? Because I ain't getting nothing out of this.
I got a bone to pick too because I don't think either Alyssa or I got any engagement gifts.
Yeah, well, you're not well liked. But
yeah, we didn't either. I think Ellie got some, but I didn't get anything.
See, I haven't gotten jack nothing. She already got a gift. She got the most expensive thing I've ever bought in my life.
I bet Alyssa got something she just didn't share.
Probably. Yeah, probably snacks and stuff, some treats.
Yeah.
I'll say the only thing that I have a strong opinion on was the food.
I feel like that's where I will be a little bit more opinionated. It will be on the food of like, if it's just something, like I don't want to serve food at my wedding I don't like.
Yeah.
So like I can't. But outside of that, I think it would be like, for me, because of who I am, I think it'll be more like something I think would be funny to like serve as food or something. Like it'd be, let's do taquitos. Like I don't know. Like I don't
Down.
know. Yeah.
I'd show up to that wedding.
I'm saying.
I may not if you don't though.
Yeah, I get it.
Do you have an idea? Does she want to do like a big wedding or?
So that's like the other question, right? And again, take this with a grain of salt because I have no real idea.
Fair.
I think the plan will be for here, doing it here. We think the end of next summer kind of time frame. But there's so many things that go into that. Like, how many people do you invite? Like, who do you invite?
Mhm.
That's why I asked Ryan before this. I asked how many like invitations they sent out, because that was a big one for us. Because, and again, I get it, I do, but it's like I have no offense, not like they're watching, but I don't have much interest in the, I used to change your diapers. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I haven't seen you since. So
Right.
like, what was your name?
Yeah.
Like, get it.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. We've been like, I think we've started to really, because you got to kind of set the groundwork for this too, because she's got a big family and there's a lot of people who are expecting to come. Like I made a joke with her mom the other day because her mom's like, well, have you guys picked a date yet? And we're like, well, we have a time frame, but I don't think we have a date. And she's like, okay, well, people have been asking me when it is. And I was like, who?
Right.
And she's like, oh, my friends from church. And I'm like, well, they ain't coming. Like, who? Like, do either of us know these people? Like,
Yeah.
and again, like, no offense. Like, I get it. Like,
Yeah.
it's not to be a brat, but it's like, what?
Yeah.
I personally don't get it.
I mean, I don't either.
Like, there's people that, and I respect it, that like you want to be at the wedding because you know the person, but like I've never met this person. It's like Ellie barely knows this person, or vice versa. It's like I barely want this person here, but it's like by de facto you have to have this person here, and I'm like,
That's a weird thing to me.
it's like you're not paying to be here. It's like I'm paying for you to be here,
Right.
Right.
So if I'm paying for you to be here, it's like I'm gonna make sure my money's well spent.
Yeah.
Somebody put it really like in a good way, I think, on TikTok the other day. And they were like, when it came to like making your guest list, their advice was like, make a hard number and like that's your number. Like this
Yeah.
is how many invitations you're ordering
Mhm.
and you're not sending one more than this.
Yeah.
And then it was like, first thing to like mark off on your list as you go through, anybody that you don't text them on their birthday. If you don't text them on their birthday, immediately scratch them off the list. If they
Yeah.
aren't somebody that you would take 3 seconds out of your day on their birthday to tell them happy birthday, then like, why are they invited?
That's a
Yeah.
lot of people for Kevin.
Well, I don't know if Facebook counts.
I think
Yeah.
it counts. He's taking time to
He does.
text it.
Kevin's a pro at that.
It is on my to-do list every day. I feel like I always like it when people wish me a happy birthday. Like
Yeah.
even if I don't know them well,
Yeah.
it's always nice. But
But like I think the point is like you gotta have my phone number.
No,
you
there-
gotta text me.
there's usually
Or I text you.
a person maybe every other day that maybe not even that, maybe like once a week that like pops up on my Facebook, and I won't wish them happy birthday on Facebook, but I will text them.
Right,
So
1,000%.
there's a clear line for me there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so like I was like, no, that makes sense. You know, if I'm not even gonna like be aware enough of you, like because that was
Yeah.
something that Laura was saying too, because her mom, again, and this isn't to roast Tina, because Tina's the best.
Yeah.
But was
We know.
like, yeah, Tina is the best. I love
Yeah.
Tina. But she was like asking about like old high school friends, like to Laura, like, oh, is this? And then Laura was like, well, we're not really close. And she was like, did you guys have a falling out? I was like, no, we just like grew apart. Like that
Right.
just kind of happens. And it's like, well, are they getting invited? Like, probably not. Like if I
Yeah.
haven't talked to you since high school, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't know if I'm inviting anybody I went to. Like literally, I don't know if I'm inviting a single person I went to high school with. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
Yeah.
it's like I don't know. I don't get it because I'm not that person either. Like there are certain times like Laura will ask questions and Laura will be like, were we invited to, I saw so-and-so's getting married. Were we invited? I'm like, I don't know. I have zero expectation for them to invite us. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like she was like, are we going to Ryan and Ellie's wedding? And I was like, I think we got to save the date. And I was like, yeah, I think we're invited, but if we're not, like, I won't be offended. You know what I mean?
This I think maybe him asking.
Yeah, I don't know. Ryan doesn't know.
Right.
Yeah, right. No.
I think most people on staff got one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most there we go.
But I think the point is like if you
Had to
have,
account for people working the store still.
Yeah, it's we've probably hired some people on since you guys have
Yeah.
sent out invitations.
but
so.
like if you would have not invited me, I would have never have been
Yeah.
like, I wouldn't have been upset about it. Like
Yeah.
I would have been like, yeah, I don't know. We just didn't look. I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
like
you gotta set.
this
you
is
gotta set
all
a
to
number.
say that I'm not inviting Ryan. I'm just kidding.
Cool. I can invite 2 more people now.
No,
I will say, just to another one that baffles me is the third cousin that you see like every third year. They're like randomly like, oh, I can't wait for your wedding. And it's like, you're not getting an invite. Like,
It's weird. Yeah, that is weird to invite
I see you
yourself
at
though.
Thanksgiving every third year. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know you.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
just because we have some blood relation of some sort doesn't mean you get a.
It's such an odd thing to me.
Yeah, that's weird. That's really awkward to invite yourself. I mean, Ryan hasn't asked me yet, but I'm going to be, I think, his best man at his wedding. So.
Aw.
I think he's working up the nerves. So
Yeah.
yeah. But no, I'm with you guys though, and like plan whatever you want. Like I think the one thing for me is I did want a little bit of a celebration. Like I was like I had like a want to like have a day where like it's a big celebration, just people,
Sure.
friends from all walks of life in one spot, and it kind of worked out.
You guys did it in a great way where it also didn't like, cost you, $50 a person.
Mhm. It was Alyssa was really big on, she was thinking about doing like a normal wedding, then it got to be a small wedding, and then she really just started to like the idea, which she really wanted to do, have the wedding up at my family's property
Mhm.
up a little north of St. Louis. She had talked about that for years. She's talked about that since we moved to Oklahoma City. So like
Yep.
almost 7 years ago, she was talking about that, which is crazy. And I really like that idea as well. My dad didn't really want to have a ton of people up there, which is understandable. He's the one that takes care of the place, and
Yep.
that's a lot. Alyssa came back with like, well, I honestly don't know if I'd want a lot of people. She's like, how would you feel if we just did it immediate family only up there?
Right.
And my dad was in on that.
Yeah.
So I was like, she's like, honestly, I think I'd prefer that in general.
Right.
So that's what we ended up doing. I'm like, I'm cool for whatever.
Yeah.
I'm cool for whatever. And obviously it was, for the most part, immediate family only.
Mhm.
And I think it was maybe a total of like not even 20 people up there.
Yeah, right.
So it was pretty nice. Took a little shuttle up there, spent the day, came back, went to dinner. You joined for that one. That was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
But it worked out. It worked out well for a handful of reasons. Listen, especially you guys kind of talk about like, your parents are putting so much work and are like, depending on your situation, like my parents were helping pay for most of it,
Yeah,
but
right.
we did have a pretty small budget, but we did Alyssa wasn't super keen on this, but ended up liking it a lot. We did a party the day after,
Mhm.
just at a park. It was like a barbecue. My
Yeah.
parents catered some barbecue and had a beer truck out. And that's where they got to like invite all their friends.
Right.
And that was like more of the immediate family or more of the extended family in
Right.
St. Louis got to come celebrate. It's like, invite whoever, I don't care.
Right.
And
To
then-
that point, whatever.
Yeah. And that cost not much at all
Right.
either. And then really the only place that we did spend money was, or a substantial amount of money was renting out Fastlers, and just did a super informal thing,
Right.
which we maybe should have communicated a little bit more. Cause like, I think Alyssa and I, like, I'm in like khakis and like a button up with rolled up sleeves. And I think some friends from college showed up in like 3-piece suits.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
That's too funny.
yeah, but they took their jacket off and fit and
I
whatnot.
think but that is like, we talked about doing that too. Like, do we want to go somewhere and it just be like the bridal party and immediate family?
Mhm.
And it's like, but then you run the risk of like really hurting feelings too. And you're
Mhm.
like, but it's such a weird thing. Like,
Yeah.
why are you so affected by my wedding?
No matter where you draw the line though, like it's like, okay, like for us, like, doing immediate family, it's like there's still like close family that could be
Yeah.
offended, but like no matter what, like, but like, people outside, like way outside of that line, like friends from college would be like, that makes sense. I didn't get invited to that
Yeah,
wedding. Like
right.
nobody was there.
Right.
But you draw, you do 200 people, and that person that didn't get invited sees someone that they know that did get invited that feels like they have a close enough relationship. They feel like they got left out.
Right.
It's like no matter where you draw the lines,
Dude.
it is a weird deal.
It is. It's super weird. And then they were talking about her sister's wedding and how they invited 200 and 250 showed up. And I'm like, we'll have a bouncer at the door.
Why? Did people like
People just brought extra people.
Jeez.
So I think I don't know. For me, I think I'd be more in the boat, and not saying that we'll do this, but it's like, I'd rather be like no kids, like nobody's allowed to have their kids there. Sorry. Like, you know, and then I will bring a bouncer if I have to that has a pitch counter that will stand at the door. And, you know, if our limit's 150, I want them to shout at 140, like 10 more. The rest of you go find another wedding.
But what if people come that like weren't invited and then people are outside like
well, I know I won't really do that, but like what a crazy thing. Like I just like, that's like, that blows my mind. Like I would never show up to a wedding I wasn't invited to.
yeah, that's bold. That's so weird, man. Like why would you want to be there?
But that's how I think people get, like, it's like extended family who are like, oh, I'm invited no matter what. And I don't know if that was the situation, but I can imagine at like other weddings, like maybe that's what's happened.
I mean, I can understand.
Ryan's nodding in agreement.
That's how my grandpa is. He thinks he's invited, but he's not.
Really?
Oof.
He was talking to my dad. He's like, yeah, when is it? Like October? And my dad's like, I don't think you're getting an invite. And I'm like, he's not.
Yeah. What can you do?
Granted, I've only seen the guy like 4 times in my life. For
Right.
anyone,
But I think that's
I
kind
don't
of
hate my grandpa.
Right.
But I don't know him and talk to
Exactly.
him.
Again, that's like the point we're making. Like for me, like if I'm cutting the line, like, you know, people who are right outside of that line of like being invited, like Will is right outside of that. His parents will be invited for sure. But like
There we go.
Will's just on the outside looking in, you know?
We got in trouble for not making fun of Will last time.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Oh,
That's
I
a
wasn't
good
making
one.
fun of him.
He's actually not invited.
Yeah, right. But his parents definitely are. So yeah.
I bet they're a hoot at weddings.
Oh, I bet they're a blast.
That's you know, I bet they would be more fun if you had Will there to roast.
Ooh, so that has been one of my favorite things recently is that Will's family from New Zealand is in town or was in town visiting, and they got to come in the store, and they were really enjoying me making fun of Will. One of my favorite ones, and the one that really got especially his parents a lot, was his aunt was like, I don't know if Will ever told you, but Will actually lived in New Zealand with us for 6 months. And I'm like, oh, it's funny you mentioned that because that's Will's entire personality. I think everybody that's ever talked to Will knows that he lived in New Zealand for 6 months. He like, I think he's like, yeah, I have dual citizenship. And I was like, Will, nobody was even what?
Dude, he got roasted for that at every meeting for like the first 6 months because I think he brought it up of like, you know, I can't even remember the context of it, but he had to like explain like, oh, you know, so I've got dual citizenship between New Zealand and here. And like, Will, you're not going to live that down.
Yeah, I was like, so again, yeah, it was Will's whole personality.
Dude, I've been catching a handful of workouts with Will recently.
Nice.
Man, he's we did.
So you went to the dump?
We went to the dump this morning, man.
How was that?
It was.
Did you
it was.
barf?
No, I didn't. Dude, I've been seeing it all over Will and AJ's story of people going work out and throwing up. So it is intense workouts. That is for sure, man. That is potentially the best back day I've ever done.
That's awesome.
That was it wasn't just hard though. It was good.
Yeah.
It was a good, well thought out, lot of attention to detail, especially like
That's
on
what
forum
everybody
movements.
says,
Yeah, dude, he's so for those that don't know, a guy named AJ Sims just moved to town. He is a very well-known bodybuilding coach, has coached a number of very high-level competitors, has turned a number of people pro.
Also might be one of the nicest people I've ever talked to.
Seriously.
He is unbelievably polite.
Yes.
Like that's the way I would, he's very polite. And you're just like, man, for somebody who has every excuse to kind of be a butthole, you are the nicest guy.
Yeah.
Like it is a like again, dude's got a lot going for him and but he is ultra polite.
Dude, that was actually the first time I met him this morning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But got the invite through Will, and it was just the three of us training. Super, super nice guy.
Yeah.
But a really fun workout. That's for sure, man. We did the cold plunge afterwards.
Nice.
He had that thing. I didn't ask until afterwards, but he had that thing at 39 degrees.
Ooh.
So yeah,
That's cold.
dude. I went in. I knew the workouts were tough. And and I knew I was representing the store. So I went to train hard, man.
Yeah.
So I did everything we did. I did one more rep than Will.
Yeah. Attaboy.
I was told I need to stay in between 1 and 2 minutes on the ice bath or the cold plunge. And I stayed the full 2 minutes. But dude, he's like talking me through continuing to breathe, the right movement, giving me motivation of like, man, the rest of your day is going to be so much easier after this.
Yeah.
Man, you're already at a minute in. Like, walk me through, pick that. Like, he's like, what song do you want? Like, played like,
nice.
dude, it was, yeah. It was a lot of fun, man.
They've invited me out a couple times. I got this bum shoulder though, so let that heal up before I get out there. And
they're fun, man. I know you obviously do spend more time with jujitsu, but you still catch your workouts, but don't do as much bodybuilding style of workouts as
I'd
maybe.
love to go. I really do. Once I like actually do have my shoulder feel better, I will definitely be out there.
But yeah, I showed up ready to train, man, and got in the right mindset. And luckily that I do try and train to failure and train as hard as I can on a regular basis on my own. So I think I went in a little bit more prepared. But I was still a little nervous getting in there. So.
Yeah, it's so funny. So he's like, this is just what everybody expects now. I was talking to AJ about it the other day. He was like, it's got a reputation, huh?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that people weren't a little scared when I talked to them about coming out there.
Dude, I usually train more in the afternoon or evenings. And so my carbs, like I usually don't do a whole lot of carbs first thing in the morning and kind of ease into it and have a lot of carbs around my workout. Yeah. But he always typically trains at 9 a.m. So I had to put some carbs on top of the meal that I usually have.
Oh, love that. Double up your food before this.
Will's like, yeah, he's like, I did a couple of rice cakes on top of the eggs I usually eat in the morning.
That's not bad then.
But Will's like, make sure you stay hydrated. He's like, because we'll be working out in his garage. So I'm like drinking everything. And then I'm trying to throw my pre-workout in on top of that. So I'm like, we haven't even started yet, and my tummy's kind of gurgling, and I'm like, oh no, it's gonna. But yeah, we paced ourselves on my intro workout, and we did just fine.
The culprit has been legs that have been.
That's what I've heard. I would have been very nervous to do a leg day first. I'm much less nervous now because to me it seems I think I would know how to pace myself. I would know how to still get everything possible out of that workout and push myself, but would go in more prepared. I would be less nervous because they're genuinely good workouts. So.
Yeah, no, that's all I ever hear is how.
Yeah.
I mean, and everybody always like comes in and just fanboys about AJ even more afterwards because he's so nice. I'm like, dude, I get it. He's a super nice guy.
Yeah, dude. One of the coolest things was, another thing to kind of talk about, but was flying from Virginia Beach to, there was a layover in North Carolina and I think it was in Charlotte, North Carolina. And was heading back, leaving Virginia Beach, and I sat on the plane, and a guy came and sat next to me. I was in the middle seat. He sat to the left of me, and there was a third person in our row that was probably half of both of our weights. But this dude was just a monster, right. And I was like, just like double the amount of muscle I've got easily. Yeah. And I was like, you're probably coming from the supplement event that I was just at, aren't you? Yeah. I was like, yeah, man. Ended up being a super cool dude. The dude's name was Jason, and just kind of talked. And I ended up talking to him the whole flight, man. Super, super cool dude. But early on, he was like, oh yeah, I'm flying back to Daytona Beach, man. Where are you from? And I'm like, oh, I'm going back to Oklahoma City. Like, our company's based out there. He's like, oh man, my coach just moved out to Oklahoma City. And I was like, who's your coach? And he was like, AJ Sims. I don't know if you've heard him. I'm like, yes, he's been shopping with us actually, man. I'm like, funny enough, man, I've never met him, but I mean, now I have, but I was like, I've never met him, but like, man, the guys at the store, or guys and girls at the store telling me about him and says he's a really cool dude, but yeah, he's new into town. Will's been working out with him. Yeah. And this dude I'm sitting next to, had just competed in the Toronto Pro and took 6th place
Oof.
in open bodybuilding. So it's just one, small world,
Yeah.
but two,
That means he's good.
he's very good.
He's good.
He apparently has made some really big strides since he is gained a lot of muscle at a very quick pace and has
Wow.
done very well, especially for being quite a bit lighter than the rest of the guys on stage, but has a
Nice.
ton of potential. Yeah, just small world, but just kind of shows it's like, man, like AJ coaches some pretty
Mhm.
top level people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah. But cool to have him in town, man. I'm glad I met him. Super cool
Yeah.
guy. I've heard nothing but good things. But
Yeah. He's awesome, man. He's been in a number. I've seen him, I don't know, 3 times the last couple of weeks.
nice.
Yeah, he comes in
Comes in-
frequently.
Yeah.
He's always really nice. His wife comes. His mom came in with him the other day. Like, she's great.
I heard his
Got
mom
her a
just-
Triad shirt.
Hey,
Yeah.
heck
She's
yeah.
part of the gang.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah. So that's super cool.
That's awesome.
What about you? What have you been up to this week?
Oh,
Or last week, I guess.
yeah, working a lot of late days. Just honestly, last week I was catching up a lot on just a bunch of things because my weekend was pretty crazy. I was traveling all day Friday and Sunday, so didn't get to do the things I
Mhm.
or had a tougher time getting things done that I usually do. So weeks have been pretty crazy, man. Definitely
Yeah.
a lot of later nights, but all good stuff, man. Because a lot of things got scrunched because I was out in Virginia Beach
Yeah.
and it just got cool news today. Actually, I haven't told you yet,
Oh.
but the Nutrition Corners. So stores owned by a guy named Doug Miller. We've worked with him, his company, and Patrick May had him on the podcast
Mhm.
handful of times ago. They own Core Nutritionals, which we've carried in the stores since 2015 when we opened up.
Phenomenal brand.
We picked up every single SKU that they had. I think Chad ordered a whole case of every single flavor they had of
Yeah.
everything right off the bat because we just love the products, love the formulas, and we didn't have access to nearly as many brands as we do today.
Yeah.
But Doug owns Core Nutritionals and he also owns Nutrition Corners,
Mhm.
which is a chain of stores out on the East Coast. They have a handful in the Virginia Beach area, and there's about a dozen in total. And they just picked up Define products,
Ooh. I
just
love that.
just in time for the Nut Bash. So Nut Nutrition. I don't know if you got the joke or not, Thomas, but
I get it.
I could tell it kind of went over your head. Anyway, they picked up Define products, got them in literally the week leading up to the Nut Bash, and so I went out there to represent and
Mhm. I saw all the stories.
worked the booth. I don't get to do that a whole lot
Yeah,
anymore
I'm sure
these
it's
days.
fun.
It is fun.
It's fun. I think anything's fun when you're doing it sparingly, you know?
Yeah, definitely is. But yeah, went out there for the weekend, hung out with those guys, got to meet a lot of the other people that work, especially on the Nutrition Corner side of
Yeah,
things,
that's
because
cool.
we don't really work on that side of that
No,
on that side a whole lot. But they just placed a second order today for to get the products in all their stores. So
Dang.
yeah,
That's dope.
yeah,
It's super cool, man. I know we kind of talked about this last time, but just seeing obviously the warehouse behind us, but it's like just to see how much Define Nutrition has especially grown recently. That's been the biggest grower, I feel like, in the most recent months of
Yeah.
just like, you know, how many different stores we're in now, like what they're
Mhm.
ordering, like amounts that they're ordering. It's been super cool, man.
yeah.
Because I know this is, you know, obviously a huge part of what we want to do. And so getting to see it kind of blossom a little bit outside of the walls of Triad is super exciting because that's the hardest thing, right?
Mhm.
Like growing your own brand inside your own store, not that it's not difficult, but you definitely have a layup
For sure.
compared. But it's like now you've got to make yourself, you know, attractive to a whole nother brand,
Right.
a whole nother company that's going to be selling it. And you
There's
know,
obvious reasons for us to sell it in our stores, but what are
Right.
why would other stores sell us over another brand?
right. Like, do
Mhm.
they even appreciate the differences? You know, can
Mhm.
we give them the margin that they need? Like, there's so
Mhm.
many factors that go into this, and it's a tough, dude. I've done a little bit of wholesale for us, not much, but Ooh-wee.
Well, I know we've talked about it before, man. But Ian is putting in that work, man. So we've I kind of took the lead on this one because I have more of a relationship with Doug and Patrick and more of those guys. And we were going to have Ian go out there potentially with me, but he ended up being on vacation that week, and I think he probably needed it. So man, I'm happy to be out there. But he's kind of taking follow-ups with all the managers and everything. So
awesome.
It's cool to kind of see us gain some traction, and he's gaining some traction with some other stores too. So
Nice.
dude, it's I think things are, man, it's been a grind, man.
Yeah.
It has not been an easy road to gain much traction at all. But I think we're really starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel as far as wholesale goes, which is really cool, man.
That's a really interesting thing because you just kind of brought to mind, even with us as like a growing company, one of the things that I feel like is a really interesting dynamic is we're in a situation where opportunities for people are starting to exist. And I think it's really difficult at times, for us or for anybody else, but to balance how that goes, right? Because so many employees are obviously looking for opportunities and what the next thing that they're going to do is, but you have to get that in the right frame of mind for people who are just excited about growth, right? Like you have to have them understanding you don't want to just take an opportunity to take an opportunity. And that's been a really interesting thing that's kind of been on my mind a little bit lately, just talking to different employees and keeping up with what their future aspirations are. But, I feel like there's going to be times, not necessarily now or anything, but where we'll have employees who are, feel stagnant or feel like, they've been doing a lot of the same stuff for a long time. And then what is the next step? But as, a manager myself and you as the owner, it's you have to kind of keep them sometimes in those guardrails of well, don't hop off this broad path, and broad specifically of it being building a resume for any potential future options to go down something niche just because the opportunity exists.
Don't take the exit just because it's open.
Right. And so that's and I get it. I get why people have those feelings at times because they want to be non-stagnant. But I think it's funny because I use the example of just things that I've experienced in the past where, through working with Try It and Find and stuff that I've done that I would never want to do again. Right. And so I think it's really easy for people when they're in that position to kind of have the perspective of, oh, somebody else is getting to do something different, and that's got to be cool and fun. And I can understand that perspective for sure until, I'm sure Ryan can attest to this, until you're answering, Instagram and Facebook messages at all hours of the days and nights. And it's it's cool because you see the opportunity and you see them going down a path, and I can understand being envious of that path, but then you have to actually understand what that path looks like.
Yeah.
I've answered Instagram messages for the company before. That's not a great time.
Don't want to do it?
No.
Not for you.
No, I'm happy to be third in charge of answering messages on Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that role. But it's the same thing goes for, Ian doing wholesale stuff.
Yeah.
I have done wholesale. It isn't a grind. It is a grind. And so
a lot of denial too.
Oh,
I think that was one that was a little bit of a surprise.
To be told no.
Yeah, I think that was. I don't know that. I think Ian was kind of struggling with that a little bit, which makes sense, especially because
rejection's never easy.
Yeah, when we're in a spot, and I've heard that's pretty common for people in that spot. So I think that was one of the downsides that wasn't really necessarily anticipated with the position, but.
Luckily, we have the blessing of a lot of guidance from other companies that are bigger and more successful than us, especially 100%. On the wholesale side of 100%. Having your own brand where it's you can get advice and honest advice. But it is a really interesting thing because you start to fall into this realm. And again, not saying that this is anything that happens, but I can see it or how it happens in other places where, you have an employee who's looking for direction, who wants direction. And you have to take a second to understand that, giving that person the wrong direction would be a disservice to them. Or putting them down a path just to put them on a path is a disservice to them. If we want somebody to, I love Ian to death, right? We'll use Ian. Ryan. Ryan's a good example. Ryan's a perfect example, actually. We'll use him. Is if we had a regional manager position open tomorrow, I love Ryan, but I don't necessarily think his resume has built towards doing that.
And I don't know that he would want to do that.
Right. He wouldn't. But the point is like, what if we had somebody who did want to do that job?
Mm-hmm.
Well, sticking them on, what's the next, who knows what the next opportunity is.
Yeah.
But sticking them on that gets them away from like the leadership hierarchy path. That broad path that can kind of lead to anything. You took that exit too early.
Right.
Well, now you just wasted time, and now are you trying to get back on the broad path?
Yeah, and where it is possible to get back to the broad path. And I think that's an important part of it is trying something that you think you are interested in doesn't stop you from being able to get back on the highway.
Right.
But it will take a little bit of time especially if it is within management to kind of switch our focus back to the more broad path.
Well, and if you take too big of a leap, like you've lost valuable experience and potential lost opportunities.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it's something that's just been on my mind, and I hope and I think our employees have like a good understanding of that. And I hope, anybody who does listen to this, like grasps that, waiting for the opportunity that makes the most sense for you and the one that you'll be wanting to do is such an important thing.
I think it's you'll know it when you come across it, as long as you're patient with where you're at.
Right.
As long as you are not anxious and not in a hurry to find that random thing or find that extracurricular thing that pulls you away from the broad path and into your niche area where you want to work, is you'll have a genuine interest for like you'll kind of know. I think you'll have a sense for, I really think I would like to do that.
Right. No, I think for sure. And it's a very interesting thing, because I even dealt with it like at the hospital at times where it was like people just felt like maybe things were going too slow and they would leave or go somewhere else, and it would just be something that like didn't have the same path, and then they didn't like it, and then they like wanted to come back, and then now they're like, well, where does this put me? And it's like, well, like it is a tough thing. And I think you're right. I think it will present itself to you in a way that you will be happy. Like you will know what you want to do. And there's nothing wrong with just gaining an overall broad like resume build until then, understanding, finding small opportunities, whether it's like taking on a new task or going somewhere, maybe a new location or something like I think there's plenty of opportunities for those kind of things. And it's like just to continue to gather like very valuable, not just information, but perspective, I think is a huge benefit to like kind of sometimes understanding where you're at.
I think that's the way, that's the approach and the mindset that I think you need to get into it too. You mentioned a little bit was just dabbling with it. Just, when you, and that's something that's super possible, and generally the route that we try and take things as well of, with Ian with wholesale is, hey, like he's got some interest to be on the Define side of things. The only opportunity we have right now that's kind of on the table is wholesale, man. Like, it's like, and Ian was like, yeah, dude, we'll give it a try. It's like, okay, man, let me kind of show you the ropes, give you kind of the general guidelines, and kind of walk you through. Let's walk through the first one we do together. And Ian just started. I think he enjoyed it, and he was very eager, and just started. He started doing the steps that we were walking him through for one area in one store, and he started doing that for like 5 at a time right off the bat. And I was kind of surprised by it and wasn't really prepared for it, but I'm like, honestly, man, if you want to, like, dude, let's go for it.
Well, even him, I remember interviewing Ian, and one of the main things he talked about was like, as much as he thinks Triad's cool, like he wanted to help grow Define.
Yeah.
That was something that he was like, man, this would be something I think I'd be really into.
And I think you can notice, I think you can see a difference in Ian, and how excited he gets when these wholesale accounts actually do bring into Find when they do place orders. I think he's genuinely excited. Like I text him, if I've got information to pass along to him, or orders that are, like the Nutrition Corners order came to me, so I had to reply and CC'd him on that because he's the one that actually puts them through. And I texted him, and he was pumped about it. So it's, I think being excited when you do have that result, and just being part of and watching and helping something grow is he's been excited about that. So it seems like that area fits well for him. And he's been
perfect.
He's been, and he hasn't gotten tired of doing it he's been doing it for what, 6 months now or so? Yeah.
Well, and it's like, I think at least not that I think Ian's great all the time, but I think it's the best version of Ian. Like that's the most excited, the most like pumped, the most wanting to go for it kind of like version of him. And I think that's that's great. And again, I've done wholesale for Define.
Not for you, huh?
Nope. I've done it for Define once and then again, and was like, I just don't think so.
Yeah.
But again, I'm happy in my niche. I'm happy in like the path of what I'm doing. I think it's like the best version of me, but also the best use of me. And so like, I think that's a really important aspect too, is like, not only do I feel comfortable and I feel happy in the path and the things that I'm doing, but I also think I have the most to offer the company by being in that position.
Mm-hmm.
And that works out great for me,
Yeah.
And so obviously I can understand people having, like wanting that.
Yeah.
But it's just like anything though. Like I think rushing that is a dangerous thing too, because you start to, I don't know. Like you don't. And especially if like you have an employee who wants to be told, like, where am I going?
Yeah.
Well, then it's like, oh, if you don't know, I can't tell you.
Yeah. And I feel like if you can just maybe give me just little pieces, we can find
help you find
I can kind of gauge what you get excited for and what you're not excited for, and where you do well in and where you don't do well in, and we can find some opportunities and some responsibilities, extra responsibilities that we can pass along to you and see how you do with them. So, but
you also can't be I would take an opportunity to take an opportunity.
Right. Because you're going to end up where you'll very easily end up where you don't want to be.
Right.
And doing stuff that you like even less than what you're doing right now.
Because I know my goal with employees, and I'm sure your goal too, is like for them to be happy. Like I want you to be happy. Doing things that you want to be doing.
Yeah.
That's not just the best for you. It's the best for us.
You're going to do a lot better job if you enjoy what you do.
1,000%. 1,000%.
From my perspective, it does help quite a bit to have you with that mindset of enjoying. I know you've mentioned that before, but enjoying the role that you're playing right now, working at a new store, growing, the clientele, getting a lot of new people in, working with a lot of people, a lot of our ATs, our advancement training people, and helping them kind of prep them, where Anthony plays actually a big role in that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But working with them on a daily basis and kind of prepping their mindset to be ready to take on the next role, whether that's in management or anywhere.
Right.
But you enjoying being in the day-to-day like that helps. I think it makes it easier for others to enjoy the day-to-day where they're at.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I think it's like we just have like literally unlimited options. And I understand that being overwhelming. Like I understand the like analysis paralysis that comes with like, I can do anything. And it's like, you can do anything. Like, pretty much anything is on the table.
Only a few things right now, but unlimited in the future.
Right. But but it's, I don't know. I get like, I worry about that. I worry about people feeling, and I don't think it's a problem or anything, but that is something that at least I don't think I'd be happy to know that we actively think about that. That like, we don't want you to feel stagnant, but like, and I don't think we have anybody who necessarily does, but like, it's something where, hey, like sometimes it's just keep learning your environment and what you're doing, and it will find you. Like the thing is, and this is what's so funny, is it is like sometimes I think it's obvious for people, and sometimes it's so not obvious for people. And what I mean by that is like what you end up liking might come so out of left field that people are like, that even yourself, you're like, I would have never guessed. Like my genuine enjoy for HR work. Never would have guessed. Like, I think most people who know me never would have guessed. But it's like, that is something that I genuinely enjoy.
And you're good at it.
And it's like, well, thank you. But it is something that I genuinely enjoy. And it's funny because, like, again, like if I would have like written down the things that I thought I would enjoy about working at a company, I don't know if HR work would have like landed on that.
Yeah. We're in the same regard. I mean, I know we've used this example just before, but I'm going to guess Ryan probably wouldn't. I mean, I'll ask him, Ryan, would you, if we were to offer you a position within HR right now, would you have any interest?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm about to say, I mean, I feel like I have a decent range of interests of stuff I feel like I could help with.
Okay. What about like management, like more on that?
I feel like that's another thing where it's like, it's not necessarily something, I don't know if I would take it, but I would have interest.
Yeah.
Would you give up the spot that you have now for either of those?
I'd have to like, it'd be one of those things that I would like legitimately weigh out options.
Ryan hates marketing. He said,
no, I
Ryan
genuinely
hates his life.
No.
I genuinely love marketing, but I feel like I have a decent range of stuff that I could help in. And if that made sense for me to go somewhere else, it's like, I'd be open if it made sense.
I can relate to that somewhat. I feel like I enjoy things that I'm able to put a lot of effort into. I don't enjoy things if I am not able to put a whole lot of effort into. And the nice thing is with the Triad and Define Nutrition umbrella, it's my enjoyment is rooted in watching those companies grow. So anything that helps those companies grow is enjoyable for me. So it's like,
but do you want to do all the HR work?
No, I don't. I'm super down to have someone else do that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things even in my day to day that I'm excited to have someone else do eventually.
Yeah.
So, but no, I can relate to that. It's like I
can too.
I enjoy learning a new skill and trying to be very good in whatever position that I'm in. So
yeah, because I think if you had asked me when I first got here if I would have ever been in the social media side, I wouldn't have seen that as a potential, I guess, right off the bat. But like coming from somewhere where I was somewhat in management, that was like logical stepping stone in my brain at the time. And then the social media stuff got brought in and here we are. But
yeah.
That's
has it gotten easier since you've had Hasi to help out with messages and comments?
It's definitely just not glued to my phone all day, which has been nice. So.
Yeah. We get a lot.
Yeah.
We get a lot.
I haven't taken care of messages and comments, probably almost since Chad and Vincent. And we probably got a lot less back then.
Well, and
sounds like we should make a clip of following you around for a week of you taking over social media messages.
Yes.
I'm in on following me around for a week, but giving me that whole responsibility for it's I probably won't have time for payroll. So
it's okay. Alyssa does.
Yeah, Alyssa does. What are you talking about? It's Alyssa and the managers. So pipe down over there.
I won't have time for something else that's important to you guys.
I won't have
I can't think of right now.
Microwave my rice.
That's what you sound like. It's I think one of the things in what I was talking about with it too is like a good example of it is like, especially getting out of the store. I think getting out of the store is such a goal, and I get it. It feels like a finish line for a lot of people, and I totally understand that. But I think people also have to grasp at times what that actually means, because like for Ryan's not necessarily in the store, but especially when he was doing it all by himself, his metaphorical door could ding at all hours of the day and night.
Yeah.
He doesn't have he doesn't only take door dings for 36 hours a week.
Right.
He takes door dings every hour of every day.
Yep.
On or off shift.
Right.
And so it's like that door might ding right now, and there is a reasonable expectation of like getting back to that person quickly.
Yeah.
And so it might be 10 o'clock at night and you're getting a message. It might be 8:00 in the morning, you're getting a message on what is your day off. And it's
Yeah.
like, there is a reasonable, like expectation to get back to that person within a reasonable time.
Right.
And it's like
Even on holidays when you got people asking, hey, are you guys open today?
1,000%. And
Yeah.
so you start to, while you lose the physical door ding, which I know is a stressor, right?
Mhm.
Like it's no secret,
Mhm.
but it's like, but you gain another one.
Mhm.
You gain it in a different realm. And so it's
Yeah.
like, it's one of those, like, you have to be careful with the grass is greener situation.
100%.
Because
100%.
it's
yeah.
not always. There's a lot of struggles to
Yeah.
your door ding might just look like something else.
Dude, it's that's kind of a funny thing, man, that I definitely experienced as well of trying to get out of the store to, because the stress comes from having to answer dings and go up front for dings, but also try and take care of all the back end stuff. And
Yep.
as back end stuff grows and door dings grow, it's like it just becomes,
Tough.
exponentially more because both areas are growing.
Yep.
So trying to take away from the door dings from my time is not just wanted but advantageous as well. And I kind of start to look forward to that. But to be honest, it's not much better, man. I do kind of miss my time in the store.
No.
I was talking to someone about that just earlier today, and I know I've talked about it on the podcast before, but man, being able to be interacting with people it keeps me in a more positive mood.
Yeah.
I kind of lost that pretty quickly.
Sure.
So man, I do spend a little bit more time when I'm doing transfers now, hanging out with the people, trying to make sure I don't have a whole lot to work on while I'm there. I go visit you guys over at UConn. I'll even spend a little bit more time up front as like customers come in and like
You're
chit chatting with them.
You're quick to jump up on a ding.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, man. Yeah.
But I mean, like, I understand that, and that resonates a lot with me. In like, I think the dauntingness is what can be difficult about it. But at the same time, like, I've explained to you on multiple times that I think no matter what my future role is, at least for the immediate, like, whatever, even like in the next few steps beyond what I'm doing now, is still being in a store for a good amount of my time.
Yeah. And being okay with that, man, is huge for my mindset because,
Sure.
man, we kind of need you there.
Well,
Like,
and I mean, even if that means like, I'm not necessarily taking everything, I'm doing
Right.
like whatever, but it's like, me being, in whatever position, but I spend, a day at each store during the
Mhm.
week, or like part of my day at each, like spending a good amount of time like in the walls of
Yeah.
the store. It would be something that I think I would miss if it was taken away.
yeah.
Like if I was just sitting in an office 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, I would miss the interaction of being around the people.
I did a lot more than I would have thought.
Yeah.
That it's not there's still points or parts that I truly enjoy and I try not to take for granted now that
Sure.
I've been in this role a little bit longer.
Yeah, you brat.
Yeah, I'm just the celebrity saying it's not that great to be famous.
That's right. Being rich is actually kind of hard.
But I can't remember where I was going with that.
But probably that you just like, there are aspects of not being into the store all the time that you miss, and like how being out of it, it's kind of like not as always as fun as you thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Generally it's definitely appreciated that, again, that you have that mindset, and it's overall a balance. I guess that's what I was going to say is, we've talked about it before of, everybody's here to build a career and a position for themselves that for most people, it doesn't exist yet.
Right.
To be able to create something that's more than just what they're doing right now. But that takes time. We got to be patient. It's going to take a lot of work.
Right.
So it's from my perspective, I spend a decent amount of time thinking about, and almost kind of worrying about these people of like, hey, are they excited about what they're going to be doing next, or just excited for the future in general? But at the same time, are they happy with where they're at now?
Right.
Are they patient with where they're at now?
Yeah.
Man, that is something that is on my mind pretty much every day.
Yeah,
So
sure. Well, and again, I think, a version of being in the store. I don't see myself getting sick of that. Like I really like interacting with the employees. I really like interacting with customers and being somewhere, especially, and I'm kind of blessed in the sense of having the opportunity of knowing and being around customers from every location that we've been. I have a relationship with customers at every location. And so I can go be a part of, even for a day, like I would like going and being in Norman for a day, like, and just helping out be awesome. Like here, Chad Mathis walk in, like you bet I'm getting up and saying hi. Like those are all super cool aspects of this. Where it's like, there's a million people in Norman that I would love to see, and like I would run up front. And so, but so there's a cool aspect to that where like being in and being involved. And again, I think it's an important aspect too, because I know you and I are firm believers of like, especially past management into regional or whatever, people who oversee stores, is having that connection, having that like not 1,000 feet away from any store at all times, where they don't understand or remember or appreciate what it takes to actually be doing it. Because I think people forget, and I think people gain a bit of like hubris around their abilities too. And it's like, if you're not at a store every day, and I don't mean to, like, you are not as bad as you ever claim yourself to be, but one of the things that you talk about is like you feel rusty when you come in and actually take customers sometimes. You always sound great, but like,
thank you.
But I have also heard people, not within our company, but I've heard people go the opposite and be like, I could do 10,000 times better than any of you.
Yeah.
I could be doing this every single day because like you guys just don't have enough enthusiasm. And it's like, man, like when was the last time you were in one of these?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think like,
not just for a short period of time, but day in and day out.
Right. Exactly. And so I think having that connection and that feel like that, like being a part of like the front lines, I think from higher level management positions is such an important, like an integral part to it, where it's like, I don't know how feasible that always is. And I'm sure maybe at times it's not, but it's one of those where like, I would want to know the employees on a first name basis. Like I would want to be able to interact and like see what things are like.
And we'll need someone in that role, man, because it'll get to the point.
People.
Yeah, because it'll get to the point. Yeah, that's for sure. And I know we've talked about, the potential for even having you and Anthony in kind of those roles, man. And even just sitting here talking about it, I've thought of a number of things because every I think that's a big thing is it's not just one day we decide, hey, let's put this person as a regional manager, and that's where they're at. And, I'm sure some companies get to do that, and maybe there's some instances where we've been able to do that, but it's always a slow transition of, hey, we've got to find, we can't afford to just like all of a sudden pay for this whole new role. Like that's a lot of money. Like we have to like kind of ease into that position, backfill with other, as we're hiring and training people, and kind of, and pass along some other responsibilities to kind of free up some other people's time that are getting bogged down. Man, I've come up with, I know we've talked about a few in the past, and I've got a few other that I've thought of, but I really got to pee. This seltzer ran through me. I'm gonna take a pee break.
Little potty boy. Kevin sounds like his prostate's healthy, so that's good. And we're back. Hey,
I just want to note that I'm not the only one that took a pee break. So you guys are.
You literally can't prove it.
I recorded you guys.
Yeah, that sounds about right. There's a camera in the bathroom of the warehouse.
Yeah, I mean, that's where most foul play happens.
True.
So
true.
Yep.
But we catch people smoking doobies in there.
Well, I haven't checked this last week's footage yet, but we'll see. We'll see. Stay tuned for episode 24 to hear about everybody that was smoking doobies in the warehouse bathroom.
Bunch of scoundrels.
Yeah. But getting back to what I was talking about, man, transitioning, like making slow transitions into roles, is man, coming up with a number of ways of like, as hard of a time that we would have pushing, you and Anthony over to, more of these regional manager type roles, it would make it a lot more possible to be able to kind of take on other responsibilities. I know
Yeah.
you've brought up like taking, being able to take transfers, which takes up quite a bit of my week right
Yeah.
now. I think you were even looking at vehicles that had more of a possibility for that. I think hopefully we'll have a truck before too long. But we don't necessarily need one right now. And
But again, if I'm
would
going to
like
be, spending a day at stores, like,
right. I think
why
it's
would
still
I not?
I think it'd still be helpful to even have the room in a personal vehicle, even with
Yeah.
a truck, man, to have the option to not have to take it.
Yeah.
But yeah, being able to do that because it gives me a great reason. Like that's when I deliver the Norman transfer. That's when I check in
Right.
on the Norman store, the Norman guys check in, talk with them, but I'm in a role where it's like, I'm getting the email from Nutrition Corners, at the same time that I'm having to respond to and forward to Ian. I'm getting calls from Melissa about a new company credit card that's having issues. Like it's like, and all the while I'm trying to like help bring these products in and talk to Preston about stuff that's going on. And it's like, I'm kind of limited on time. So being able to have someone like, you or Anthony be able to step into these roles where, you're delivering the transfer and you can spend your time and focus.
Right. Well, and it's like when you have, and it's tough for you, and I get it, and it's why you're such a scatterbrained nincompoop all the time. But it's like you deal with so many categories of things where it's hard to like stay in that streamlined focus of a certain thing because you might be getting a text that is total left field compared to what's right in front of you, where you start to put people into positions where it's like they're pretty much their whole work environment revolves around this category of things.
Yeah.
And it's like, then you can be really focused on that category of things. When you get a text message, it's probably pertaining to something that's not 180 degrees away from what you're dealing with on a daily basis, like what's right in front of you,
You and Anthony could be in Norman, hanging out, checking in on those guys and not be getting texts about credit cards and wholesale information,
exactly.
not be distracted.
Like, are the labels ready for this or that? And it's like, okay, it's like, yeah, we're talking, I might be getting a text message about another store and stuff that makes sense, And so I think those kind of things, like getting to where it's kind of like a streamlined categories for people clears a lot of that up because that's when all of it revolves around one category, it's a whole lot easier to keep that category uncluttered. Where like when you have, you've got a whole bunch of rooms and you just hop into one of them whenever you have time. And it's like, it's hard to keep those rooms tidy because like they are so, and you do a great job, but like they are so different ends of the house. Right. And so when you're running from one end of the house to another and then back and then back and then back and then somewhere else. And it's like, these are all different things that require different thought processes and different emotional capacities and like all sorts of stuff. And it's like, at least if you can get into one room and deal with that one room, and that's what you deal with. It's like, okay, cool. Like, this can kind of be handled.
Yeah. Man, that's definitely a skill that I've had to work to be even somewhat good at.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
right.
Is jumping from one thing to the next quickly and being able to make decisions and handle situations in all categories very quick from one to the next.
Right,
so,
because you're sitting there having a happy-go-lucky conversation with an employee, and then you get a text message, and you're like, like something's delayed.
Yeah. No, that was I was actually headed. I did that workout with AJ and Will this morning. Did the ice bath and was headed into Quail. And I hadn't answered my messages yet. I hadn't looked at my phone in a while because I was like, I'm in the workout. I'm gonna, I'm just gonna, enjoy it. I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be in the moment, and I'm gonna work hard. I showed up to work,
right?
And I'm like in such a good mood because I've got that dopamine dump after the ice bath, and I'm like, today's going to be a good day. And I show up to Quail and they hadn't had power for the first hour of the day and POSs weren't working. And I handled it a lot better than I would have because I was coming off an ice bath.
Yeah, we're getting you an ice. We need a warehouse ice bath.
I'm in on that. Yeah. I'm super in on that. Yeah.
There's those ads going around with the really cheap ice bath.
Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah.
I saw Garrett White bought one.
There we go.
Yeah, AJ had the really nice one that was like it's like an actual tub,
Yeah.
and it's got the jets going too, so you don't actually ever get comfortable. It's like water's
You can't
blowing.
create that like thermal layer.
Yep, exactly. And then he was like, I'll also move around a little bit in there.
Yeah.
Like,
no
fuck
thank.
you.
Yeah. Whenever I get in it, I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm not moving from this. Yeah, you got that water moving in there. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, mama.
but
You see
yeah.
those people like breaking the top of their top. Like,
Yeah. I like my ice baths at about 72 degrees.
I'm with you. Honestly, 86.
Not quite a hot tub.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's an
Cold.
ice bath. I could put ice in there. Not going to last long.
More of a cool plunge, if you will.
Yeah. I'm in on that.
But man, one thing that I know we're kind of working on right now is just kind of having with 15 people on staff, really probably, what would it be? 12 that work full time in the store. There
Sounds
is the hours those stores require based off of how much it's open, how much overlap each store needs, requires 12 full-time people every week. So if someone takes a vacation, someone gets sick, someone can't make it into work, someone's going to have to work overtime. Usually it's split up between multiple people, but like the Yukon situation and the Norman situation and the Quail situation at one point, the stores grow sometimes at unanticipated times and by unanticipated rates to the point where we have to beef up overlap and have some extra people kind of, whether either on shift or at least around to kind of on just hanging out in the back. Like I know I've done my fair share of that. Especially at Quail and Yukon of being the person that's kind of taking second dings of like, man, I got back in work, I got stuff I got to do, but I'm gonna do it here because if you get overwhelmed, I want to be here to help.
Yeah.
So I've learned it can be draining on that one person because you're taking ding after ding, but I feel like that's potentially a role that you and or Anthony will play for a little while of being the person that kind of steps in and like hangs out. It's like, hey man, this store's just getting hammered. It's growing by a ton. But we need to, and we're hiring right now. We're training right now. Yeah. Let's spend your time, let's figure out the days of the week that are busier. Spend your days, these days at this store, the other 2 days of the week, stop in at these stores when you can, but be hanging out at this one because this one's the one that needs help right now.
And that's the thing too. I think for me, it's easy because I love doing that anyway.
Yeah.
Like I literally was off on Sunday. I was here for 2 hours. Of course I was. This is just how it goes. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to do with myself sometimes. So I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I was at my I was at my Yukon house and just packing for moving. And I was like, I wonder what the store's up to. I came out here.
Had a little FOMO, huh?
Yeah, I came up and hung out with Will and Kaylin for probably a couple hours, to be honest.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a great time, man.
It is kind of nice. Is there something about being up at the store or somewhere when it's like you don't have a lot to do?
That is it, dude. Like that, I would love to have that be my job.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Where it's like there is a beautiful balance of like being there, enjoying the like intimacy of like being around employees and around customers, but also the mental capacity, like the mental understanding that not every single person that walks through that door is my responsibility today. That is like the cake and eat it too for me. Like I am so in on that because then it's like I can relax, and when I do take a customer, it's like I can give 150%.
Right. I'm not worried about the next one I have to take. Right. This might be the only one I take all day.
That's it. And it's like, you can go and knock one out of the park and like you have all those cool aspects. You roll out the red carpet even more. And it's like those are all super cool things that, you have the opportunity in that position. Because again, like you don't have the mental angst of like, okay, like I'm gonna, it's gonna be busy today. And I think those days are fun too. Like I find enjoyment in those, but it's like, but knowing like that is the best combo for me. And like that's why I mean like having that be a career goal for me, at least for the immediate future, is like, Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I'm not stressed about work.
If it was anything like mine, it'd probably be a little bit of back and forth.
Yeah.
So a little bit of, the store just needs some help right now.
Yeah, right.
Gotta be hanging out here for a while. And then things will get covered and you'll be like, all right, cool. Got
Mhm.
plenty of time to be kind of anywhere I need to be now. So,
Right.
but
And that's cool because it's like I know it's kind of the antithesis of what we were talking about earlier, but it's like those time frames are short,
mhm.
right? Where it's like, cool, I'm going to be busting my butt here for 3 weeks and then I'm
Right.
kind of free again.
Right.
Like to then go where I need to.
Yeah, that is kind of a nice part about it being in that role is you get to do it temporarily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Which is like, okay, yeah, I don't mind.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of like Ryan's role too, where he didn't start out full-time social media. It was, he was doing it on top of full-time in the store.
Yeah.
And he was doing a really good job with it, but didn't have the time or the capacity to do that on top of doing
Yeah.
a store where, he was laptop, like thing goes off. He's up front with a customer.
Oh, yeah. I remember the Norman days.
Customer's done, right back to the laptop,
Mhm.
working away on whatever he needed
How
to.
long did you work at Norman?
Probably like 3 to 5 months. It
Yeah.
wasn't long.
Mm.
Sounds right though. But yeah, I remember those days. Ryan pull up with his laptop and his extra screen, and he'd get back to he'd start editing stuff back there
Yeah.
and start working on stuff. And
That's
then door would ding, and he'd run up front, and it was like, yeah, that's great.
that's how Ryan worked for a long time.
Yeah, right.
And it was, we had more and more responsibilities and more things that we were needing done that were genuinely worth our time as a whole. And it was like, man, Ryan can't do both. So we started with even just pulling, I think maybe just like 6 hours from you.
Yeah,
And it was like, man, these 6 hours are time for social media, man. Our social media and marketing and whatever other responsibilities were given to you. We turned that, I think, into part-time. And then when UConn opened up, we transitioned that to full-time because it was becoming a bigger and bigger job, man. And now you're at the point where we're having people like Hasi help out because you're doing things like websites and that's taken up a lot of time. So yeah, it's kind of I feel like that's the part I enjoy is I feel like going through that transition is you're always doing something new.
no,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
And I feel like, that starts with just one extra responsibility while you're in the store, man.
right.
Yeah.
But I think that's the thing that people get a little short-sighted on and forget sometimes is that an extra responsibility doesn't mean a lost responsibility somewhere else.
Yeah.
It just means an extra responsibility.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just something else to do.
Right. Yeah. You gotta take on 10 new ones before we can take away one old one.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. What, you getting a FaceTime?
Yeah, Laurel's FaceTime. She's out of town this week.
Where's she at?
She's in Florida coaching her team at Nationals.
She travels a lot with her team, doesn't she?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
They go all over the place. Her team, and then the team she plays for too, they go all over the place too. Like they were just down in Texas playing in the adult national championship for this you can just invite teams go and play. They actually won.
Hey.
Funny enough, yeah, they won their category and age and skill level or whatever. But they won. They won the tournament. So
Heck yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
No biggie. National championship fiance. Do you think Laurel and her team could take on the Teaks in the sand volleyball pit?
Yeah, they would crush us. They would absolutely destroy us.
I don't know, man. We
We had
good.
some moves. Dude, they would eat our breakfast.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, they're good.
I'd be happy to get a point.
Me too. Yeah, for sure.
Man, I know we've been talking about for weeks, if not months now, the warehouse filling up, and I think by next episode, the warehouse is going to look
Different.
very different.
Yeah.
Not like, dang, that's crazy. It's going to be like, what happened?
Yeah.
We currently have 13 pallets worth of stuff coming on Wednesday, and Alyssa just did a pickup for
13 pallets.
Wait, no, I'm sorry. I think 14. Yeah, Ryan's
14.
confirming 14 pallets on Wednesday.
Love that.
Uh,
Do we have 14 pallets of stuff back there now?
we do a little bit more than 14.
So a little bit. So almost doubling.
Yep. But get this. So yeah, 14 pallets showing up on Wednesday. We didn't expect this one for a while, but it's Alyssa did also have to put in a pickup for another 13 pallets over the weekend.
Oh.
That's why I told you to get all your soccer and hockey and basketball out of your system.
No kidding. So we've
Yeah.
got 27
Yep.
pallets coming?
That I don't know if they'll all be here by the end of the week, but
still.
next week.
Yeah, we won't film for 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah. So next podcast,
We won't even be able to fit. We'll be sitting in between pallets.
dude, I'm down. Just we'll set up. We'll do it like
It'll be a pallet cast.
yeah. No, we'll do it. What's that movie with Dane Cook?
I know what you're talking about. The grocery store movie.
Yes. I don't know where he works at, like pseudo Walmart.
Yeah,
the
you keep
version of
talking.
it.
I'll look it up.
But they've got that little secret thing that
Mhm.
that little secret fort inside the boxes that's up on that shelf. We'll do that inside the pallets on the
Employee of the
podcast.
month.
What's that? Employee of the month. Yeah. We'll just carve out chairs by taking out boxes.
Yeah.
And set up a couple of
I love
different
it.
chairs, yeah,
We'll
and just
have
do a
a little-
podcast in a fort of boxes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah,
I do love me a good fort.
ooh, big fort person myself too.
Mhm,
Dude,
mhm.
we built some forts at Biscuit, the loft that we were talking about
Yeah.
that we lived in Springfield.
Definitely did.
Dude, we had the Jim Beam umbrella that we definitely got totally legally.
Mhm.
That was a great base to the fort.
Super good.
You start with that, and then you couches around it, blankets on top of that.
You remember when Alyssa was like laying on the couch and we decided to stack all the furniture on top of her?
At the place that we had 7 full-size couches, like not just cushions, but the full couch.
Yeah, like the actual couch on top of her. And you're so-
Hi, I'm still in here. You guys go get these 10 couches off of me. I gotta go to the bathroom.
Oh, that's too funny.
Yeah, that was a fun loft.
It was a great time, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for some more downtown living and just enjoy it, because again, it's not something you have a lot of opportunity to do.
Yeah, you will get to. Obviously, Alyssa and I are kind of at the point now where maybe we'll do it when we retire, and maybe
Yeah,
I'll get
right.
to retire a little bit earlier than the average person. But I don't know. I probably will be involved with everything for however long I want for probably
Forever.
my entire life. Yeah.
For
But yeah, with obviously kid on the way, it's not as much of a possibility.
doesn't make as much sense anymore.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Yeah.
But that is something cool that I am somewhat envious of, man. That'll be
Yeah.
really cool to
It's the
kind of
only
live.
reason I'm doing it.
Just to make me jealous.
Yeah.
You're gonna hate it.
It's exceptionally expensive. You sucker. I got you so good.
You're like worried about all the traffic and the smog.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
But it'll make Kevin jealous.
That's right. Yeah. I think a big thing for us too is like we've been talking about, we have to take advantage of the things that are there. Like
Mhm.
the Paycom Arena is literally not even a half a mile away from us.
Yeah.
Walk to games. Like
Right.
we gotta go. We can't not do the things, like we've gotta get on the little downtown trolley and use it and go places and
Yeah.
enjoy it. Or otherwise, like what's the point?
Yeah. I feel like once you kind of get in a habit or a routine of it, and I feel like you guys are a couple that you go out to eat and go to different restaurants and do things pretty often.
We're
Like,
pretty hip.
yeah, if Alyssa and I did it, we would enjoy the view from the windows quite a bit.
Yeah.
I'll-
Like the like when Chad when we asked Chad when they lived here what his favorite restaurant in Oklahoma City was, and he said Chili's. We're like, Chad. And he was like, oh, the Emperor's Pizza.
Emperor's Pizza. I think they what is it called? The brew house or brew company.
Brew house?
Is it brew house? Bricktown Brew. Is it
Bricktown Brewery?
Bricktown Brewery.
You talking about a gym or a restaurant?
That's a good question. The restaurant, Bricktown Brewery, is what
Yeah.
I was thinking of. So
Hey, they've got a Bricktown Brewery in Springfield. I bet they go.
I bet they do.
I bet they do for
Yeah.
sure. There is a Bricktown Brewery in Springfield.
They got a bunch of those around now.
Yeah, I think it's like you see it a lot, like the Springfield, Oklahoma City. If one's successful in one market, you see them kind of
Yeah.
hop between the two.
Yeah.
That's why we've Hertz Donuts and stuff here.
Yeah. I think they were going to get I think they were going to get a Fassler's in St. Louis, I believe. I
That
think
makes sense. Fassler's are kind of a little bit more other places,
Yeah.
but I'm just happy we have Pickleman's. Makes me so happy.
I scorpions.
So good.
Wait, I thought you didn't like sandwiches.
No, I love sandwiches. Sandwiches might be my favorite food. Why are you shaking your head no?
Sandwiches are one of the worst options when it comes to
Turn
food.
your microphone off. You're done. You're done.
Favorite, but but you do a cheat meal and you'd pick something other than your favorite food?
Well, yeah, because that's being like, yeah, if my favorite food was steak, that's not a cheat. I can have that whenever I want. I don't need to sacrifice my cheat category meal on something like a sandwich. I feel comfortable eating a sandwich whenever I want. So a cheat meal is for me to be more adventurous, not necessarily something I enjoy more, just something different from that. Like I would rather on a regular basis, like a pizza or a sandwich, I'm probably taking a sandwich most often. But when I'm categorically picking a cheat meal, I'm like, okay, this is my time to splurge a little bit more. I would go for a pizza at that point. I love sandwiches. Probably my favorite thing in the world. Laurel, my Lord and Savior, and sandwiches.
In that order?
Nah. Order to be determined.
Okay. I don't know. I'm skeptical.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying I love sandwiches so much that it would be ridiculous for me to limit
Only have them.
only for something that is not inherently like a cheat. Then it's like, why am I limiting this to only my cheat? Again, a steak is a great example. I love steak. I would feel comfortable on my diet right now eating a steak every single day.
Yeah, I guess I would. Yeah, I'd be in that same boat.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like, cool. Like, not a butthole steak, a butthole steak, but like not like a ridiculous steak with like a bunch of crap on it. You know what I mean? But I only eat butthole steaks. That's definitely a cheat meal.
All right. So we've probably talked about sandwiches too much on this podcast, but I'm going to talk about it more.
Let's do it. Bring it on.
When you do a sandwich that is not a cheat meal, do you put cheese and sauces on this?
I think it depends, right?
Mhm.
Because again, if it not hitting the like cheat category of this situation, my goal with the sandwich is not to splurge. I understand that with your sandwiches at this point, your goal is to splurge. But my point, I think, and where we could clear the air on this,
Okay.
is would a non like intense or crazy sandwich, would you still consider that to be a cheat? Like if you went and just got like a sliced chicken and, like lettuce, tomato, and like whatever, like a very like reasonable like calorie and all that kind of thing, like would that in your head still be like, oh, this is a cheat? Like a grilled chicken sandwich from a Chick-fil-A. I know that kind of falls out of the sandwich category, but I think you get my point.
Yeah.
Nothing in this inherently is like a cheat,
Right.
Or like, and when I say cheat, obviously there's cheating on your diet compared to what your macros exactly are. But then there are things that are like inherently a cheat.
Right.
Like no diet really, accounts in this category for like pizza,
Right.
or something crazy.
It'd be tough to fit a pizza in your daily macro
Right,
count.
exactly. Unless you were doing some weird kind of like
Ryan's over here giving a look like I do that all the time.
That chicken barbecue California pizza kitchen one, it fits really well in the macros.
There you go. But it's like the point is like inherently you
Yeah,
look
yeah,
at a cheat meal as a splurge.
Yeah. So okay. So I guess that's where I come from is I eat a similar meal every day. I've gotten a little bit more in the habit of changing my protein sources, but it's usually with rice. I change up the rice from time to time as well. I'm just trying to stay on top of gut health, but
Sure.
but essentially it is either chicken, turkey, sometimes maybe beef. I rotate through those with rice, and typically with some sort of veggie. Most of the time, peppers.
Mhm.
So if I run into a pinch where for whatever reason I don't have one of those meals, or the meals that are prepped, that I plan to eat throughout the day, I will do something else, and I think a grilled chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A would fall into a backup and
Right.
wouldn't count for my cheat meal.
Yeah.
But-
You wouldn't be like, okay, that was my cheat for the week.
No.
Right.
I wouldn't do that. But when I'm sitting here, craving, it's like, okay, it's Wednesday night and I get a cheat meal on Wednesday nights. It's like, man, a sandwich with a Jimmy John sandwich, and I get to have cheese, and I get to dip in that Kickin' Ranch that they got that's really freaking good,
Mhm.
with some chips and some brownies on this. I get a couple bags of chips. I get
Well,
2
let's-
sandwiches sometimes.
Let's reel this back in. Like, forget the chips, forget the brownies, all of those extra things.
Mhm.
How far into I think this is the point, is how far into the extravagant category does a Jimmy John sandwich with cheese and Kickin' Ranch fall for you? Is that like,
Mm.
ooh, this is pretty extravagant? Obviously compared to your normal, but in your
Mhm.
brain, do you feel like this is an extravagant thing? Because that for most people, and I have a trump
Mhm.
card here that I will pull, that for most people is like, yeah, I mean, like, could I have had better?
Mhm.
Sure, but like that is far from bad. You know,
Right.
like compared to the scale of this to me going to McDonald's and
Yeah.
eating 3,000 calories, like obviously. But I don't know if you still feel this way, but you have spoken these words out loud before where you said, man, I just wish I could just have shakes for all my meals.
Did I say that?
You have said that before.
When was that?
I think you were stressed and you were eating and you were just like, man, I just wish that I could just have shakes, and like a shakes just did it for me.
That's stressed, Kevin. That's
Yeah,
a
but
different-
there is no level of stress that I'm ever like, I want to have a liquid diet ever. So I think that your food psychology is different than most. And I think that's
Yeah.
the overarching point here.
Yeah, I think a big part of it is my threshold for like what is like part of my diet and not part of my diet is
Right.
different. Like if I was in a pinch and Jimmy John's was like the only option, I would get a sandwich, but I probably would get it with like no cheese and I wouldn't do ranch.
So let me ask you this. I think this is better for us to like make this a scale, because I think the problem is we're talking cheat and not cheat and what the definition of this is. So it's like, let's say a Club Lulu. So turkey bacon, we're going to have cheese on it and Kickin' Ranch. Scale of 1 to 10. Where does that fall in your cheat extravagant thing?
I think that would be a yellow. I think that would be like going back to your scale that you've
Sure.
used before, red, yellow, green, where if a full-on cheat meal, I'm going to enjoy this with no guilt, is a red, and my turkey, rice, and peppers meal is a green. That would fall in a yellow of like, hey, I'm in a pinch, and you know what? I'm just going to enjoy it a little
Right.
bit. And I do that from time to time. It's pretty rare. But being in a spot right now where I have bumped up my calories, I've been slowly bumping them up for a few months now. I do take time to enjoy it. Like Alyssa
Sure.
had half a chicken strip that she wasn't going to finish on, I think it was maybe Sunday.
My goodness, you are living lavishly. Your cup floweth over, my
I had
brother.
a half a chicken strip the other day.
Golly. You're helping your argument a lot.
Where from?
Yeah.
I think it was just like a Tyson.
Yeah. 1,000, but it wasn't.
Yeah. I'm big on, you can't let
Half
food
chicken
go to
strips.
waste. Yeah.
You're big on half chicken strips.
But yeah, it's like she's not going to finish it. She's going to throw it away if I don't eat it. So, why not? Calories are bumped a little bit anyway, and so we're giving a little bit more.
God, I got this earlier.
Ryan's pulling snacks out of his pocket. But again, I think
Do you have any snacks in your pocket?
I don't. I wish. I am hungry. But is like, I think even a scale of 1 to 10, because obviously once you've decided it's a cheat meal, that's when the real extravagance happens, right?
Mhm.
Where like, a turkey bacon ranch sandwich essentially, right, is like, for you probably comes in at like a 6. You're going to make it a 10 with everything else that you're going to have alongside it.
Yeah.
I think what my point is that a turkey bacon ranch sandwich for most people comes in at like a 3.
Yeah. Yeah, my threshold is a little different.
Mhm.
That, man, I'd rather eat my regular meals, and then if I'm gonna enjoy it, let's enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think I do. It's either, and obviously I think a lot of people are this way in other aspects of life, but maybe not this one. But I'm either a 1 or a 10.
Yeah.
Like I don't do 3s. I don't do 6s a whole lot. Like I'm gonna either stick to what I got prepped or I'm going all out.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
get it. And as I've said before, like I've seen you naked and I don't think it's worth it.
Just wait till I cut down. Wait till I bring up these calories down for, I don't know, I guess maybe wintertime.
Yeah, good
Extra
idea.
time up right for Christmas to be shredded.
Yeah.
Dude, just wait. Dude, my Christmas card this year.
Yeah, naked.
Yep. I'm gonna just have a Santa Claus hat and a present.
Dang, son. Both. All right, show off.
This sounds like a good time to say we're coming up on 2 hours.
Ryan's. Well, I think this is a perfect segue too. I thought this would be a fun time to do it because you can't say no. Or I guess you could, but you'd look like a real butthole. But I am getting married soon. And I do have something for you. We're not going to do that on the podcast, but I was going to ask you if you'd be my best man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, not you, Ryan.
Had to ruin the moment. Sorry.
Yeah, get out of here. Eat your pocket snacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got I've got a couple groomsmen already. So I have to have quite a few because
Okay.
Laurel's got lots of friends.
Yeah.
So I can give you the short list that we've got so far.
Yeah, let me hear it.
Won't be everybody, but we got you. We got old Jimmy Elkins.
Hey.
James will be there.
Let's go.
Vincent.
Hey.
My buddy Frank.
Yeah, I love Frank.
And I think that's it so far. That's all that have been asked. There will be more, but
Yeah,
that is all that have been asked.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
That will be a good time,
Oh,
man. Yeah.
It's going to be a real fun time. We're going to get buck wild. Probably not. But
Maybe a nice weekend at a cabin with a puzzle and a book.
honestly, like it was really funny because all of us are kind of into decently similar stuff. And Laurel was like, where do you think you'll want to do like your bachelor party? And I'm like, to be honest, like a trip to like, I don't know, like Northern California or something, or like Salt Lake or something like that, especially close proximity to a couple of people who will be, and then maybe us to have like a little bit more ability to travel. And I was like, but that kind of thing, like a cabin, hiking, like we'd be all in with like a cool city around close to.
Yeah.
I was like, that would be the best.
Super down.
Yeah.
Super down.
Well,
Yeah. It'll be fun, man.
yeah,
It'll be a fun group.
that's right.
Yeah.
Well, he said yes on the podcast.
I just did it because I feel like everybody's
you-
watching.
That's right. You're going to say no. You're going to be like, I'm not doing that shit. This trip to California. You stupid.
You have to probably give a fucking speech and whatnot.
Yeah. Well,
Thanks, buddy.
hey, man, I was yours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's going to be good. I'll tell you the rest afterwards. Just so in case they're listening.
Okay.
They can't know.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, Ryan's telling us that we're done. 3, 2, well, okay. I don't know what episode this was, but thanks, guys.
23, thanks for watching.
Woo!